Hi folks, Frank Fazio here from Phillip Island Adult Learning. For those of you that don't know me, I'm the hospitality tutor here at what we affectionately know as Pickle in Cowes. So what we're doing today is the traditional gnocchi. So what do we need in the way of utensils? The most important thing is one of these things, and that's called a ricer, which is what we're going to process the cooked potatoes with. The other thing is one of these spatulas. You can buy these at Bunnings for under $5. A great tool to have. And obviously the scales and a sifter. So looking at all the ingredients, and incidentally the ingredients or the recipe will appear at the end of this video, which you can take a screenshot of. Isn't that right, Beck? Correct. So let's look at the ingredients first. We're going to make 1 kilo of gnocchi, or a little bit over 1 kilo, and that will feed 6 hungry adults. So if you have a family of 5 or 6, you don't really need more than 1 kilo of the gnocchi. Now, gnocchi is basically, it is a pasta technically, but it is basically a dumpling. And the star of the show is the potato. Now, I've already boiled 1 kilo of potatoes. The potatoes I've used are the red or the waxy potatoes. I suppose you could use the white ones, but you do need a waxy potato in order to get a lovely silky consistency to your gnocchi. So I've already boiled those whole. Just remember when you're boiling potatoes for gnocchi that water is not good. So do not think that you can quicken the cooking process by cutting the potatoes into cubes, because what that will do is, potatoes being quite porous, will absorb a lot of the water, and you do not want water, too much water in your gnocchi mix, which is going to give you a very soggy result. So these have been boiled, they're actually quite dry, and I'm going to put those through the ricer in a minute. The other ingredients you need is 2 egg yolks. You could use the whole egg. I prefer to use only the egg yolks because that's the richest part of the egg. You can go a little bit over, there's just over 2 egg yolks there, because I actually broke one. And that will it'll act in 2 ways in making gnocchi. It acts A, as a binder, and B, as an enricher. Also, some of the recipes don't call for Parmesan cheese. I like to pop Parmesan cheese in my mixture because it helps with the binding process and gives you that lovely cheesy taste within your dumpling. And then 150 grams of flour and a little salt to taste. So just running that quickly through again: 1 kilo of potatoes, 3 egg yolks, 150 grams of Parmesan cheese. Try not to use the Australian. It's not as good as the Italian one. Australia does make great cheeses, does not make a great Parmesan, unfortunately. So 150 grams of Parmesan and 150 grams of flour, and a little touch of salt. So first things first, we rice our potatoes. Just make sure that your potatoes have come to room temperature. You don't want to do them when they're too hot. And look at that, beautiful coming through there. Isn't that lovely? And another one. Don't play around with it too much. You want it to be all nice and fluffy. Like I said before, when choosing your potatoes, don't be tempted to go with any of those other fancy potatoes. A good quality red potato is perfect. Perfect for its waxiness. Get a little bit of little impurities like that, just pop them aside. You don't want that into your gnocchi. Okay, we're halfway there. In case you want to know where to buy one of these ricers, any good kitchen store will have them. This one is a stainless steel one. It goes straight into your dishwasher. It cost me around $28. There are plastic ones on the market. They're all fine. They all do the same job, as long as you end up with this lovely fluffy result. Okay, like going the last one now. Pop that through. Look at that, isn't that delicious? So beautiful. So beautiful. And they've got that lovely yellow colour. Put that aside. So this is what you want to end up with, this beautiful fluffy. You don't want it warm. You just want it, well, lukewarm, not hot rather. Okay, if the potato is too hot, you must wait until it cools down. Otherwise, you're going to end up with quite a problem. Next thing you do, we're going to sift through 100 grams of flour, like so. Always sift your flour. You don't want any of these little crummy bits in there. That's 150 grams of flour. That aside. Parmesan cheese, like I said, 150 grams. Just give it a little bit of a rub there and get rid of all those lumpy bits. And that just pops in like so. Pinch of salt. It's a big pinch of salt. And then make a well like this. And you pop in your eggs. Remember, just the egg yolks. And then, this is the bit you very gently incorporate. You're not kneading, not like you're making a bread or a regular pasta, because you don't want the mixture to be over kneaded, I guess, if that's the word. Because you're going to end up with a very hard dough. So we're going to do this. This should take probably maybe about 15 minutes. I've just wrapped up the dough. We're just going to let that rest for about 20 minutes. Okay, it's 20 minutes later. The dough's been resting and it's lovely and firm, as you can see. So we are now going to start making these beautiful gnocchi. So put a flour on there. Just cut yourself a little piece. And what we want to do is we are going to roll out something that's going to resemble a very large cigar, like so. You'll notice to the right of me I've got some really lovely sage from my garden, and that's going to make the base of my sauce, which is a butter and sage sauce. Try and use an organic sage if you can. Some of the store-bought sages do lack a little bit in flavour. And more importantly in aroma. Okay, so we've got it round about there. It's like the size of a very large Cuban cigar. And we're going to cut little dumplings like so. Now, you can leave them like this if you want. Some people roll them into little balls like that. But I prefer the traditional way. You get yourself one of these things. And what you do is, you do that. Oops. And what you're creating is these little ribs. Do another one for you to have a look. And what those little ribs are for is where the sauce gets caught. The water is on a simmer. You don't want it boiling too much. You don't want to cook them. It is a very delicate dish. So you want the water just to be on a simmer. And we'll cook those in a minute. And if you just pan left, you'll see that we've got our butter and sage sauce, our organic sage from our garden. And what we want to do is we want to cook the butter so it slightly burns and it takes on a lovely nutty brown flavour. Okay, now you can use any sauce you like. You can use a plain tomato sauce, cream-based sauce, or you can use a bolognese sauce, which is very, very popular. I'm just adding a bit of cracked pepper. So the sauce is basically butter, some beautiful fresh organic sage and a little bit of cracked pepper. I've got the water now on a lovely simmer. And I'm going to cook the gnocchi. You will know when your gnocchi is ready when it rises to the top, which should be after a minute or two. Okay, and here we have it, my gnocchi, homemade gnocchi with sage butter. A bit of Parmesan cheese. There you have it. Another recipe from a chef in lockdown.